what we started to see was other ministries, all the other ministries within our church started benefiting when young adults found a home in our local church. The kids ministry, the youth ministry.
This is Young Adults Today podcast. I'm Josiah. In just a moment, my wife Micah and I talk with Aaron Wadsworth from Grace Church in AZ, leading Unified College. What's wild is 5 years ago, this group started with 40 people at an interest night. Last Thursday, they had 1,600 young adults. It's incredible how organic community has built this ministry. And we're seeing this all across the U.S. that young adult ministries are starting, that they're strengthening. In fact, check out a recap from our digital conference. A lot of you attended, hundreds of you attended, hundreds more have watched the replay.
There are more young adults in our communities that are open to hearing and responding to the gospel than there are Christians willing to share the gospel with them.
Before God moves in a city, he often moves in a room. And before he moves in a room, he moves in a heart. And my desire is that he moves in your heart so that he can move in your city.
And man, what a time to be in young adult ministry. And this is a last call. If you are leading a next gen ministry church as a pastor, as a young adult ministry leader, get to Minneapolis, Minnesota, March 13th and 14th. We have the 7th annual leader conference. Would love to meet you in person. Hey everybody, this is Josiah Kennealy, and I want to call all young adult ministry leaders. We are gathering this March 13th and 14th, 2026 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It won't be the same without you and your team there. So sign up today. There's going to be times of worship lifting up the name of Jesus. We will share meals and break bread together. We're going to pray together. We will grow and exchange ideas and best practices. One of my favorite parts each and every year is the round table discussion. You're going to hear from trusted voices in church, leadership, and young adult ministry through main sessions, through panels and Q&A times. It's not just an event though. This is a community, your home base for young adult ministry as a leader. Let's start the year off strong and together, and we will reach the next generation for Christ. Enjoy this conversation with Aaron. We're here with our guest, Aaron Wadsworth. What's up, man? Welcome to Young Adults Today.
So pumped to be here. This is going to be awesome.
We're thrilled to have you. It's my first time meeting you. I know Josiah's been in contact with you for a while, and you guys just met face to face, or
We did.
screen to
Zoom.
screen, I guess, is in the world of which we live.
But
But
we'll be hanging in Arizona in a couple weeks.
That's
in
right.
person.
Yeah,
Excited
that's going to be
about
awesome.
that.
It's
Bro.
a nice 70 degrees here. It's amazing.
it's -5
Hey.
here.
You're calling to us from the promised land. Beautiful. Man. So I want to start with, we'll get into your story. We'll talk all things young adult ministry, but what year did Unified College start?
It was May 2021.
Okay. So
Yeah.
2021, April, this ministry did not exist. How many people did it start with?
So right before I came on, we had a quote unquote young adult ministry, but it was mostly the young professional age. So what we would say like the 27 to 32-ish range.
For sure.
And so there was about 40 or so of them, but pretty much none younger than that.
Okay.
So
40 people in April 2021. And last night, this is late last Thursday night, January 2026. How many people showed up?
we had about 1,600.
What happened?
Crazy. I can't believe it, honestly. It's still like one of those things where I'm like, it's quite clearly God, because I'm
Mhm.
naturally very introverted. Some would say like sometimes when I was younger, not that comfortable in really big crowds. And so I'm like, it doesn't naturally flow out of me to maybe create or be a part of a massive thing. So that's why I'm always like, God, this is what you're doing. Like, I'm here for it. But so it's still like very humbling for me all the time. But I came on staff like pretty much March 2021 as the high school and college pastor, and they were like, keep running the high school ministry, it's doing well, but start the college ministry. So we ran full force with going for college age. So
Mhm.
the 18 to 24 is what we made it. And they said, yes, start it. So my first ministry job right out of college to start a college ministry in our church, I was like, okay, that I feel very trusted, but maybe you were silly. No, but so, and then we launched in August 2021. So we had a few like summer interest nights where we had about 40, 50 people. And then by the end of our first school year, we had about 300. And we were like, wow. And then each year it doubled. So it went 300. Well, no, the first 2 years it went 300, about 400. And then the third year went up to 600. And then our first year in our main room, we went from 600 to 1200 in 1 week. And we were like, wow. So that a lot of details in between, obviously, but
Oh my gosh. Okay, so one question that we've been asked like on our staff, just like a brainstorming meeting, you just said the numbers essentially doubled in 1 week's time.
Yeah, overnight.
yeah.
What did that do for the infrastructure or the systems and the strategies that you had in place when it came to whether it's worship or prayer team or
Mhm.
welcome booth or
Yeah.
any of the volunteers and the leaders? Like, what did that do? And did you see that coming, or was that just like, holy cow,
Mhm.
God just doubled this? And
Yeah.
what needed to change? Because that was the beginning of the new norm.
For sure.
Mhm. Yeah. From the start, when we started Unified, something I just wanted to do really well was to create something healthy. And so our goal, and you could say our vision, and something that you'll like learn about me is things that I like had to come to terms with is that I'm not naturally a visionary leader. I find it hard to look multiple years in front of me. I'm very much like let me go after this next semester and we'll go from there. And but what we knew we wanted to do was let's do this in a healthy way. Let's do this in a way that students know what to expect. And so I remember in 2022, I wrote down in my journal, I was just like, I want this to be for this is not what it actually was, but I wrote a boring ministry, not boring again, as in what they come to is boring, but that students know what to expect when they come so that they can trust what they're inviting someone to. And so boring is inconsistent, that they can know that these things will happen. And these things I know I can expect that a guest will see and experience. Um, and so we just went health, health, health. Everything was in prayer. How can I have volunteers come and not just absolutely just wear themselves out by being a part of
Mhm.
this, but also love what they do. And so by health, I mean, I wanted to create something that students come and leaders come and they learn how to be before they do anything. And
That's good.
so my goal was I hope that anyone who gets to be a leader at Unified in our college ministry gets to be exactly who they are, even when they're not here anymore. So once they leave, I hope I've not built into something that they don't know how to function in another church because they don't have that role. I was like, let me try and give them the ability to find health in loving a local church and knowing who they are to be before they do anything. And so that's kind of how, and to answer your question, to deal with the very quick growth was easier than we expected because we just made our ministry very simple and as healthy as we could. And it felt like, oh, there's healthy ground here. And this was able to grow. And we don't feel like we've outgrown. We just feel like we can continue to do what we're doing at just a bigger scale.
Wow.
And ways we've done that has been kind of different to a lot of places, and sometimes it feels scary what we do, but I'm sure we'll get into those details, but that's what
Yeah. What I hear you saying, Aaron, is if you picture two styles of restaurants, one is a huge menu and they're serving
yeah,
pancakes and waffles and omelets and scramblers and wraps and breakfast sandwiches for breakfast. And then they've got their lunch menu where they've got cheeseburgers and salads and Euros because those are a fad right
Yeah.
now. And then they've got a separate wild rice soup and chicken fingers. You see what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah.
one restaurant one carries everything, trying to be everything, and in and of itself, probably mediocre would be my expectation no matter what you get. Breakfast, lunch, it's probably going to be okay. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but the other one has like a short scratch kitchen menu
Mm.
where it's kind of like what they're known for is what we
Yeah.
all get is, you know, those buttermilk pancakes are out of this world, or there's this
Yeah.
special cafe omelet that's like, man, this is what you get here. And what I'm hearing you say is you guys were restaurant two at
Mhm.
Unified College.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why have people been coming back?
Mhm.
Or why have people been coming?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, you guys talk about it a lot on your episodes, and I think it's very true. And it's exciting that young adults right now, it feels like whenever we're getting new young adults, the Holy Spirit's already been doing a lot of work in them before they show up. And that releases a lot of pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you put all the pressure on as soon as maybe a non-believing young adult shows up to our college ministry and they've never experienced anything or thought about anything, you put all the pressure on how that one night that's 2 or 3 hours is going to go. But if you
Yeah.
know that, you remember that there's been a lot going on beforehand. And so with that, we get students show up to our new here area and they're like, yeah, I don't know anybody. I've shown up by myself and I've never been in church in my whole life. These are students we get now. It's not
Really?
students that have been here and there and most of our new people are completely new to church, completely. And they show up and they're like, I'm curious. And or they wanted to know more. And so with that in mind, we wanted to have our college ministry be a place that isn't attending to making non-believers feel super comfortable, but that they're coming because they're curious about church and curious about Christianity. So they want to experience it in ways that they haven't before. And so we were like, we're going to have prayer at the beginning of every service where
Mm-hmm.
someone's on stage and we get prayer requests in and prayers reports sent in through our Instagram every week, and we put them on screen and we give them the option if they want to be anonymous, all of that. We have them on the screen and we say, these are people in this room right now who need this prayer.
Love it.
Sit with 3 or 4 people and pray for these things. And when we first started doing that, I got the good questions of, well, what about the non-believer? Like that's the first thing they're going to experience. They don't pray or they've never been in this environment. And I was like, that's really good. That's a really good observation. But what if that's what they want to experience? Like they're showing you showing up at, like if you show up at the restaurant you just talked about, you're showing up to taste that,
Hmm.
right? So that's what we wanted to do. And it all came from, I grew up in England. That
Right.
super post Christian place. And I remember being probably 14 or 15. And on my way back from school, I would walk back the long way so I could go through this courtyard of a huge, beautiful cathedral that was a building that looks nothing like all the other ones. And I would pop my head in, look inside, and I would do that just because in a moment I felt like I was somewhere different. I felt like I was around something that I wasn't getting all the time, these normal buildings. And funny enough, in church history, that's why they say they made the cathedrals like that, is that they wanted the church to feel somewhere outside of the norm. And so I said, that's what we're going to do, is we're not going to attend to making them comfortable. We're going to show them this is something you don't have. And we went from there.
Amazing. One of my observations here in Minnesota is what we've seen, like in young adult ministry. Micah and I have been around a little bit long enough to have pastored our generation, which was millennials.
Yeah.
Millennials came to our ministry at the time. They had friends. Aaron, they were just poor influences. So if we had an invite night, my goodness, twice as many people could come
Right.
through wristbands, through
Yeah.
postcards, through, hey,
Uh-huh.
bring your friends. What we've seen the past year and a half pastoring Gen Z is what you said a second ago. Gen Z has shown us that they're coming by themselves,
Yeah.
expecting an encounter with God, expecting to learn how to pray, to
Yeah.
find a mentor, to understand what this Bible that they bought, because Bible sales are up, they're expecting to understand what is prayer, who is God, basic theology, understanding scripture, the power of prayer. But then they're also looking for and longing for friends. Have you seen that? Because we're not far from Gen Alpha showing up to Unified College. What is it?
Yeah.
2.5 years?
Yep.
And Gen Alpha will be there. And I don't
Crazy.
know what that will mean or look like, but
Mhm.
do you find that that's an accurate assessment or not so much?
That they're looking for friends, you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Definitely. And it's funny because we experienced a night where there was this group of three guys who all came separately, but they all were already really good friends and actually roommates. And they
Stop.
and they didn't tell each other. They were just like all three of them were like in their own minds, just like, I've heard about this thing that's a couple miles away. I've never been to church. I just want to go see what it's about. And they both went individually. And in that night, all three of them responded to the gospel
Praise
and
God.
in areas of the room made eye contact with each other.
What
Like,
are you doing here?
right. And so in that moment, to answer your question, they came by themselves. And why I asked them later on, like a couple weeks after, I was like, why did you not like tell each other? Like, why did you all do it secretly? And each of them were saying, we just wanted to find friends that seem like they really actually care about us.
Mm.
And that convicted all three of them because they were like, I've not been that to you. I've not been that to you. And so it's interesting. All three of their motivations were to find friends, not to know about Christ. It was to find friends
Yep.
because their experience of Christians on their campus had been, oh, these people are actually really kind and really caring. And so definitely. And that's why we've contemplated a lot of social things within our ministry that happen every day, that happen very casually. And all our people who come know that those things happen, meaning like, oh, I just met you. That's cool that you came by yourself, but tomorrow, do you like pickleball? This is happening. Oh, you like basketball? This happens on Sunday night. Or are you just like hanging out at a coffee shop? This happens on this day. So those are the things we have ready.
How are you communicating those organic pop-up communities of pickleball, of coffee, of
Yeah.
study nights, whatever it is? How is the method group me? Is it church community builder? Or like, what is it?
I'm gonna give like a pretty annoying answer to a lot of people. Not annoying as in I wish it was this system, but it seems like especially the college students we experience in Phoenix really find signups and links and everything like the biggest burden ever. I don't understand it.
Okay,
But it's
okay.
just like, what is going on? We 2.5 years ago, we tried to do a big launch night of small groups where within our church, we pushed that all the small group leaders we want for the college ministry are older people within our church. And so we got them already. We had about 100 groups ready to launch. We had them already on these bistro tables on a launch night, and it was really exciting. People were meeting all these leaders, and we were like, wow, this is incredible. And then within like maybe 2 months, maybe less, I'm getting all the emails and the calls from the leaders who I was begging to lead groups saying they're not showing up or they're not signing up, but they said they would and all this stuff. So I don't know what to expect. And I'm just like, yeah, this is hard. And so instead of trying to just grind on that until it works, I said, let's just
Your
try
ways,
some,
Aaron.
huh?
Teach us your ways.
Right.
That's what the listener's saying too.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of us trying to just grind it out and just hate the whole process of trying to make them do something like that, we said, let's just try something very different. And I was listening to a lot of podcasts and books that were telling amazing things, saying that your gathering should be the least important part of your ministry, right? And all this stuff that happens after it. And I was like, maybe specifically to us, that's just not going to be the case. And so we pushed everything that was, we want them to experience everything about our culture on a Thursday night. So our service doesn't start for like 30, 40 minutes until we actually say what time it starts. Like we say 7:30, but we don't go in the service until like 8:10.
Ooh,
Um,
tricksters.
yeah. So could you say that's like holy lying? Maybe, I don't know. But so we said, let's make the Thursday the most important part where they catch our culture, and was a moment of me with my team humbling ourselves to say, let's try and create a culture where the stuff that we want to happen naturally happens without us building systems to do it. And so I started saying from the pulpit, hey, you want to start a Bible study or you want to start a small group to further talk about what we talked tonight? Just do it. Just go do it. And we started just to say those things. You want to have a community where you get around a common interest like pickleball or basketball or golf or a Bible study, just do it. And our groups coordinator here at our church was like, please don't do that. Please don't. And I was like, I get it. But just like, let's see what happens. And then this last summer, we knew of about 20 to 30, we called them meetups that were happening.
Yeah.
And we would, once we would hear about them, we would then promote them, but we let them just start happening. And it just did. And now I probably know about 50 small groups that happen that we didn't build out, that are not in our system. And the question that comes from that is, how do you trust that what's being taught and what's being led is what you want? And we just hope that the trust is what you catch from our culture quickly is that that's what will be there. And at the end of the day, even if I know the leaders and the built out system of the small group, I'm not there at their small group every week. There's still a level of trust there that you have to be like, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
Right. We, sorry, this is a long answer, but we, about 3-4 months ago, someone came to me and was like, yeah, I started coming here because I heard about this homeless outreach that happens on Monday nights at a park in Phoenix that you guys do. And I was like, we do? And I was like, wait, what? So I find out it's one of my leaders, Cole, who's been one of our leaders for a really long time, got him and a bunch of guys and like 3 or 4 grills, and they go to a park in Phoenix and they have a line of over 100 homeless people every Monday, and they feed them, they pray for them and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm just finding out about this. And Cole was promoting it as, this is something from our college ministry, like come do this with us and then come with us on Thursday. And I'm like, oh, wow. So the vision statement, my first ever vision statement, because I wasn't a visionary in the fall this year, was to shift the language from that church does small groups really well to the people in that church make community. And instead of saying that church is really good at missions, it's the people at that church are missionaries, and trying to build culture where they just do it. So that's what we do.
Oh my word. Okay, my mind goes in a million directions.
Yeah.
So what you're experiencing is the sign up versus the show up were not congruent.
Yes.
You had a bunch of leaders waiting for people to show up at their house, and they weren't showing up.
And you had a bunch of young adults longing for community but not experiencing it.
Yeah.
And you're casting vision while catching the culture on your Thursday nights.
And you're delaying the start time by 40 minutes so community can happen.
Which I don't think is misleading, because staff does that to us all the time. Hey, starts at 8:30. 9 o'clock worship hits. I'm like, okay, you want us to come through the door to mingle, to like rub shoulders with each other, to get to know each other, and to eat. Like, thank you. You fed us coffee and food.
Yes.
Right.
That's what you're saying, though.
Yeah. And we thought, oh, they'll catch on eventually and start showing up at 8. Everyone still shows up at 7:30.
Beautiful.
Not everyone. There's still like a few, but
right.
the majority
Eliminate
still show up at 7:30.
Late people. Okay, so here's a question for you. For all the type A's listening, I know they're going to want to know this, Aaron, because I am one of them.
Way to go.
I'm one of them.
Way to go.
I love systems. I love strategies. I also know that they feel like a bunch of red tape and loopholes at times, and that can be very aggravating for any and all people involved,
Mhm.
whatever your system strategies look like, from higher up to side by sides, everything. How have you been able to disciple the volunteers that you have who are leading groups under the house? Maybe the street ministry stuff, you're like, we do that? Like, awesome. How do you let them walk out in the authority that God's given them while being a spiritual covering to them and seeing the discipleship happen in the house
That's great.
as you develop that culture on a Thursday night? Like, what have you found helpful, or like, what has your intentionality been in that regard?
In discipling the team, the volunteers.
Yes, because you have like 50 groups happening.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of them you have like, I have no idea. Like, how do we not run rogue as a group, but how do we
Yes.
disciple the people who are leading the rogue groups? Because I
Totally.
like the systems, but I'm like to run rogue myself. So I don't know
Yeah.
what you'd call me.
Yeah.
Vigilante.
Rogue saint.
Yeah. I have someone who is awesome as an administrative role. Her name is Ashley, who is the polar opposite to me, who who does who keeps up with everything somehow phenomenally. And so she would be an awesome person to talk to. Is someone who is extremely type A, loves the systems, but also and is able to, and she's figured out a way to be that person in a ministry like ours and still do it really well.
Yeah.
But so our volunteers for a Thursday night, which most of those people that volunteer on a Thursday night are the ones who are leading groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those, we have about 80 to 90 leaders for a Thursday night, which for 1,600 people doesn't feel like that many.
Right.
But we've done that intentionally. We have team nights probably once every 8 to 10 weeks, where that's a time to gather. We have some training in there. We restate the culture over and over, making sure that all the leaders know each other and know each other's groups that are happening.
Love it.
So all the new here 10 area on the porch before they go into the service, all those people on that team probably know of every single group that's happening.
Incredible.
So, and that's through regular communication via group me, team nights, all that kind of thing. So, yeah. And then, but we make our team nights less informational. Our group me is the super informational part. That's where all that gets sent in. The team nights are a time to pray, a time to be with each other and enjoy each other and enjoy the ministry. And that came from about 2 years in. I was really worn out, almost left and just quit everything. And a pastor prayed for me and basically just said to me, this was the words he said. He said, I think the time for building is done. It's time to enjoy.
Whoa.
And from there, I was like, what can I do to enjoy it? And it's not that you stop like, for lack of better words, building. You don't stop, but how can I build that isn't this brick by brick tower that eventually is going to fall over? And so, yeah. So we look at Unified and the leaders and the discipleship of our leaders as a garden instead of a tower. We look over here, this area needs some help right now. This area is going to be okay. And then putting your attention on that and then coming back to that. And then realizing that no garden is got visible fruit 365 days a year.
That's right.
There's time to see that this area needs help. This area doesn't. This area looks like it's got a lot of visible fruit right now. This one doesn't, but it's very healthy, and the time will come and stuff like that.
Okay, Jesus' teachings, he didn't teach about architecture for the most part. He moreover taught a lot about agriculture, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I know he talked about the wise and foolish builder, but I mean, way more than that. He was talking about the vine, the branches.
Yeah.
Yes, the seeds, So many teachings of Jesus were about the agriculture more so than the architecture. That's a word that speaks.
Yes.
You've talked about 7:30 young adults pull up to Unified college students. 8:10 prayer starts, and it's almost that Brooklyn Tab feel. I don't know if you've been there, but they call down heaven. They have a prayer meeting where you're joining your faith with other people's, you're praying for real needs in the room, and they
Yeah.
see breakthrough and miracles happen. What happens after the prayer and after that community from 7:30, 8:10, then it's
Yeah.
prayer, then what?
Yeah. They'll pray for a couple minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, and then our worship leader will feel out that moment and then lead them into a time of worship. So it goes right from a new person who's never been in church walks in and they experience people praying with each other right into a time of worship. And then from that time of worship, I then come up and teach. And this year we've been just teaching verse by verse through Romans. We're almost in February now, and we're only just at Romans 10, and we started in Romans the second week of the school year. And so we're just going with the flow with that. And so they experience Bible teaching, because what we experienced was, and I'm not saying that if you don't do it that way, it's the wrong way at all. This was specific to the people that we were getting in who were newer and believers who were coming, were having questions about specific things in the Bible. So I was like, we need to just go through this.
Yep.
And that's what we did. And Romans is perfect because it's for someone who's been in church their whole life. There's still things in Romans that they're like, I don't know what that means. And then for someone who's never been in church is going to hear the whole theology of everything to do with church and the Bible and the gospel through Romans. And so that's why we chose to do it. And then from the teaching is another time of worship where we have visible prayer team on both sides of the wall. And we emphasize that moment that you can get out your seats, go to these people, be prayed for. And then every single week this year, we've had a moment for people to respond to the gospel. And our altar calls, for lack of better words, for people's time to be saved if they want to. We do it. Everyone stood up. Everyone's eyes are open. It's all pretty visible, can seem pretty scary. And we make it very clear, and people respond. And the response from there is, hey, guess what? Now that these people have been saved, it's not the moment to be critical and be what's going to happen to these people now. That's your responsibility now. You are to disciple these people. And so when someone gives their life to Jesus, everyone gets around them and we all pray with them. Everyone starts to pray, and then we go back into worship, and then everyone goes to in and out after.
Oh, okay.
Not everyone, or it would not go well, but a lot of people go get food.
You already know they're all busy.
Hey,
yeah.
See you there. Okay, what about what role has Instagram played the past couple years or this week? Or, what is it necessary, unnecessary? Talk about that.
Absolutely necessary.
Really?
So
Why?
We don't post our services or sermons anywhere. And not because we're just trying to be weird. It was just because we were like, let's try and create something that is, you want to see what it's about, you come.
Yep.
And by word of mouth, you come. And a lot of that, to be honest too, to be transparent, is I know in my personality and in the fleshly side of my personality, I don't think that would be healthy for me. I think I would become I would be stuck in a lot of comparison. I would be fixated on how well it does. And that's because what I want to do it excellently. And so I'm like, if we're going to post, I wanted to see that it would quote unquote do well. So it's the side of where I want to stay healthy and I want to stay focused on where I'm at and not trying to reach just people who I'm not around. Not that that's bad, but because I just think my personality wouldn't match. And then because the time where I wanted to quit was strictly because all I was doing was comparing. All I was doing was thinking what I'm doing, no matter how powerful a Thursday night was, I was waking up on a Friday and being like, theirs was better and they should just go there. And so it was that. And then also we were like, let's try and create some kind of culture that this is by word of mouth. This is by students just excited about what God is doing and how they're growing in a church, and invite them. And so Instagram became everything. Like the only thing someone can learn before they come about us is on Instagram. And so we want to do that excellently, or we want the videos to be posted to represent who we are well, and everything in between. So we've got a great group of college students who do all that, and they're incredible.
That's so good.
Fascinated. Christine Kane said something a few years back that has just stuck with me a really long time, Aaron, Micah. Christine Kane said, I would rather be marked by God than marketed by man.
That's good. That's really good.
And amen. Like, yes and amen. And, you know, I also just watched a documentary about the boss, Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
And he he had this, it was going to be a huge single called Born in the USA. And everybody knows that song, 4th of July.
Yeah.
It's still a huge hit 30, 40 years later and change. What's wild, he had like 6 hits that were about to come out. And he told the producer, whoever, ABC, Sony, whoever it was, put those ones on the shelf. And he had this little cassette that he had mixed with like a mic, a guitar, and an old school like mixer. It was tingy. It was like it was echoey. The quality was not up to standard. And he hands it to them. They didn't want to accept it. They're like, "Where's the radio cuts?" And his agent goes, "No press, no publicity, no tour,
No interviews. Right?
no interviews, no PR, no tour." And that album, that year, I think it was 1982, hit number 3.
Wow.
So, and I'm not even
Wow, I
suggesting
didn't know that
that
story.
he was marked by God. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that he lived in a day and an age where, you know what? He tried to be a little bit less center stage. He tried to be a little bit less,
Mm.
you know, and he just did. And then the next year he put out the Born in the USA. He did, I think, some tour, maybe Johnny Carson, and some interviews and such. But I just think that what you shared, Aaron, thanks for going there, because I think it sets the listener free that you don't need to play the game of Instagram. You
Yeah.
don't need to fall into the comparison trap of 2026. However, at the same time, you could empower young adults, you could empower volunteers, you could empower the church communications team and media and technology and everything to still reach people and advance the gospel utilizing a tool like Instagram.
I think the word that I just keep coming back to for you, Aaron, just like your personality, just knowing you in the last not even hour, is organic.
Yeah.
Like, really wanted to create something from the ground up that was blessed by the Lord, that wasn't this show to put on.
Mm,
But even that gentleman that you talked about at the beginning of the top of the hour, those 3 guys really realizing that all of them wanted to come through the door to experience community.
wow.
And we say, like, within the ministry that God's allowed us to lead, is like, I don't care if they come through the door and they experience in any order. So I say, I don't care, meaning I don't care what order this happens in, because something's going to happen. Community, church, and Christ. Those are the 3 things. So if you come through the door of any ministry and you experience community, and it is a Christ-centered community, you're going to see Christ in people. And I hope there's a breakthrough moment for you to accept Christ.
Yes.
And then there's like, well, if I'm here on a Thursday, why am I not here on a Sunday? And if I'm not here on a Thursday and a Sunday, where's my group that I'm leading or I'm being a part of on that Monday street ministry with the homeless people in the
Incredible.
park, grilling some food and putting some food into their hands to be the hands and feet of Christ. So I just think like those touch points are natural and organic that you've just been describing. And I think that does hopefully set the listener free, that you don't have to have the machines and the best sounding worship band. What I'm learning about Gen Z, or I have learned, they will actually take everything stripped down versus the production. So they would rather have the Holy Spirit moments and encounters and prayer times and organic growing community versus the prefabricated
Mhm.
fill in the blank, and they walk in like, oh, this is a cookie cutter church and young adult ministry just like any other one.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, if they can experience Christ, community, and the church, like I think that's the target that we've always been trying to hit. Or like, I don't care what order that happens because God's going to do something. So
Mhm.
hopefully that can help, young adult ministries grow to know that we don't have to get stuck in the trap of comparison and take that more organic approach.
Yeah.
Like the documentary that you just watched, realizing that, wow, let's take the pressure off us
Mhm.
and put it back on God. Like we're just going to be obedient and faithful for the people he's
Yeah.
bringing through the door. And if God's doing something, word of mouth is going to spread. Like think when Jesus healed anybody, don't tell anybody. What do? They go and tell everybody. Go back here. She said no more. Okay. And then, you know what I mean? So I hope that that's the ministries that God
Yeah.
is orchestrating right now in the hearts of young adults. Cause I'm like, we talked to one of our friends, Luke, and he says, all these pastors and people are praying for revival, but we are never going to experience revival without repentance. So if
Mhm.
you're having this moldable heart come through the door that's saying, I just felt prompted to walk through your door and I was like the words they're using are just like, oh, the Holy Spirit was speaking to you and you were being obedient, not
Yeah.
drawn through the door and you encountered something. No, that's
Mhm.
the Lord beckoning your heart for a deep, meaningful relationship,
Incredible.
specifically with you and any other individual. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me just saying a lot of things.
Aaron, what
Good.
else is on your
Really good.
heart to share with us, to share with the listener who's maybe starting a young adult ministry, maybe
Yeah.
finding themselves in a comparison trap, maybe
Mhm.
taking over an existing young adult ministry?
Yeah.
What else is on your heart to share today that we haven't covered?
Yeah. I think exactly what you were saying, Micah, and that I just think they're looking for something honest and something that they can not, obviously you can't fully trust something at glance, right? But something they can show up and be like, this seems normal. As in everyone here seems like normal people.
Hmm.
And uh but about the comparison trap, I think the way God brought me out of that
Mm,
was a hard moment where after a Thursday night, I felt like I got off the stage that night and I'm hanging out with all the students after, and I was receiving the most positive feedback I'd ever received from a sermon, which you're like, awesome. And that night I was up really, really late because I was all in my head, just like, that was the most positive feedback I've got from a sermon, and that was the least myself I'd ever been. And so I started to get this like identity crisis where I was like, sure, maybe I figured out a way that people really like this and gave positive feedback to this, but I felt like that wasn't even me.
mm,
I was being thanked for something that wasn't me or how God made me. And I think God allowed me to really deeply feel those feelings and be up very late into the night that night to realize that the week before, maybe I didn't get as much feedback, but I knew that I was being who God made me to be.
That's
And
good.
God chose me to lead this ministry, even though my personality maybe naturally doesn't fit with this type of size. Or um, I was someone in high school that was extremely insecure. I went a number of years where in the bathroom, brushing my teeth, I wouldn't have the bathroom lights on because I couldn't look at myself, and just reminding myself that that's who I was. And now God has brought me to a place where I can be on a stage with these like really bright lights on my face, which was like my worst nightmare a few years ago. And reminding me that I should just authentically stay as that person.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's better than maybe getting the applause for someone that I wasn't. And by what I mean was that sermon and how I was communicating was just like a replica of someone else. And yeah, it was just the classic definition of imposter syndrome. And so from
mm.
there, I was just like, okay, God, I feel convicted that even though I got the applause of man tonight, you showed me that that wasn't who you wanted me to be.
That's
And
good.
so from there, I just said, I'm just going to keep being myself. And through that, I found the type of communicator I am. I found where I'm at my best. Instead of trying to be the best version of other people, I tried to be inspired, but then be myself, and God revealed to me what that is and who he chose me to be in that ministry. And it's a really humbling moment, but I would just encourage any person that's starting a young adult ministry or in one right now or taking over one. The best preachers, the best pastors, the best evangelists, the best anything in ministry are the ones that are themselves. Just be yourself. And if God chose you, that's who he wants you to be. And be that. And from there, that was a big shift in ministry. And now I just very much enjoy it. I don't see myself doing anything else. And I feel very healthy.
That's
So
so good.
that's what I'd say.
Hey, thanks for going there. Lord, deliver us from imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
And you know what? As you're talking about preaching and communication, you know what I thought of? I thought of Sadie Rob Huff. I thought of Jonathan Pokluda, Ryan Leake, Philip Anthony Mitchell, Joel
Mhm.
Osteen, John Piper, Andy Stanley, Louis Giglio, Stephen Furtick, Eric
Yeah.
Geiger. Just, and you know what? I love all of those teachers
Yes.
for
Yes.
very different reasons. And I picked on purpose in my mind people who bust out different categories. Throw Tim Keller in there too. There is a lot of amazing
Mhm.
pastors preaching, teaching out there, but picture Piper and his tweed amazing retro jacket that might come back again
Yeah.
someday, and the old Bethlehem Baptist pulpit.
Yeah.
And then you think of like a no notes Andy Stanley. Look, 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 look. Like neither of the, there's not a formula for preaching necessarily
Mm.
because people try to say like Billy Graham wasn't the most effective communicator. And I'm like, really? Like, do you
Millions of
mean by
people.
the
Like,
textbook? Do you mean
you're like,
like,
wait.
so what are we measuring? Like by expository or topical
Yeah.
Just
methods or,
standards, right?
yeah. And you know what? Underscore what you just said. There's freedom to be me. And
Mhm.
I've realized the more I listen to any one preacher, if I'm not careful, because we come like the people we surround ourselves with, I can become an echo
Mm.
of a John Tyson, Levi Lusko, or Louis Giglio. And I'm a really bad echo of them. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm the one, I'm a one of one, like just like what you're talking about. So let's set the listener free. Hey, are you up for the last 5 minutes? We put 5 minutes on the clock, rapid fire, 5 and 5. You game for that?
Yeah, of course. I'm down.
Okay, question number one. Why do you believe that young adult ministry is so vital in this day and age?
Yeah. Because they will and can be the life of your whole church. Not meaning that any other generation is not as important, but what we started to see was other ministries, all the other ministries within our church started benefiting when young adults found a home in a local church. The kids ministry, the youth ministry, the people who are older and want to have a purpose in their church, and is to pour into those young adults. So I think young adult ministry is so important because it will benefit the broader body of the whole local church, not just your Thursday night. So let's say that.
Good.
Okay, you get to be the host now of Young Adults Today podcast. Aaron, you can ask us anything. We never know what
Okay.
question is coming. It keeps Micah on her toes and me on mine. Let it rip.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's good. Hmm. What's something within your ministry right now that you're seeking some bigger clarity on? That maybe you're running after it and you're like, yeah, this I know is something we need to do, but maybe it's a not 100% clear on why, but you just know. And yeah, what's that thing?
Oh man, I think for me, is we have the vision, we have the mission, we have the verbal buy-in and commitment, but there's a lack of follow through. And
Okay.
I'm trying to navigate as a pastor,
Mm.
as leading with Josiah, as God put us in this position. How do I hold their feet to the fire? And is that my job? Like, to what level is that my job to hold their feet to the fire and help them discover, like, when the Bible says your yes is yes and your no is no, what you've decided to commit to, whether it's holy living and the standards and you showing up on time. And so it's character. Like, how do I help you become better in your character, your Christ
Yeah.
commitments? And to what degree am I called to hold your feet to that fire? And
Right.
sometimes that
That's
can get a
good.
little gray for me because I'm the type A. I'm like, if you said it, then do it, you know? And there's the
Yeah.
other part of me, it's like, well, Micah, sorry, I can't do this because I got XYZ going on. I was like, no, you prioritize your priorities. And a week ago, this was a priority. And now you're saying something else has come along. So,
Yeah.
how do we not let God's calling of living a holy, sanctified life dedicated to Him become a plan B
Mm.
because you want your own plan A? So, that is my personal tension
Good.
that I'm wrestling with. Like, I don't want to come across as legalistic. I love you too much to not tell you, but I don't want you to be like, well, I'm just going to go over here because it's easier. So that is my internal
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody can relate to that.
I can relate.
Whoa.
I can relate.
You know, Aaron, I've been thinking to answer the same question. Um, I see things really as they should be, as maybe a prophetic picture of what God's calling young adults today to be, or Minnesota young adults, or Emmanuel young adults. I think, prophetic imagery around that. And then not everyone does. And so I also can't do it all. Like,
Mm.
I am a fallen, sinful, imperfect human being.
Yeah.
Underscore the human being. I can't do it all. I have 24 hours in a day. I can't respond to every single text, call, DM, email.
But you want to.
And my heart is there. And so I think what we're attempting to do is, a friend of mine, Trey, talks about, Josiah, you need to get in your best and highest use. So how do I do what Andy Stanley says, what's unique to you? Don't give up something that's unique to you that for someday something someone else will do. Like, I think I'm close, but trying to figure out what is it that only I can do, and then only do what only I can do.
Yeah.
And especially leading a nonprofit, you're sometimes
Yeah.
innovating, pioneering, starting up, balling on a budget. And so you're
Mhm.
like, the simple business answer would be to hire staff. Or so how do you raise up proteges, intern, contract workers, part-time? What does this look like?
Yeah.
And so I think the heart, though, is to empower others, and not just to delegate tasks, but to empower
Good.
meaningful ministry. That's my
Yeah.
heart.
It's good.
Love
Great
that.
question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yo, back to you.
Yeah.
If you could tell every pastor and young leader listening one thing about ministry or calling, what would it be?
Mm. If you don't pray, you won't last. That's what I would say.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. True or false? This is not in your notes. True or false? Marriage teaches you how to be selfless. Children teach you how to be more Christ-like.
Mm. That's
Is
good.
that statement true or false?
Extremely true.
And why?
Ooh.
All the people who want to be in ministry, for all the people who want to be married, for all the people wanting to have children listening, the why.
Mm,
Oh, that's
Why
good.
is that true? Or why
Why
would
is
you
that
agree?
true? Mhm. Christ-like. The reason children make you more Christ-like is because it's just a consistent reminder that what a blessing it is to really need God. Like, you look at your kids and you're just like, wow, they really show that they really want to do this, but I'm going to tell them this is not a good idea, right? When my son Crew is begging to climb up onto the counter without me, I'm going to always tell him no. And that's not because I don't care about him, but it's because that's not a good idea and that won't benefit you and that will be dangerous. And it's just little, and that's one example, but there's consistent moments where I'm just watching my children and I'm like, wow, they really, really need me and they really, really need their mom. And how much I need God is even greater. So that I think that's why he makes you more Christ-like, because Christ was always submitting to the Father's will,
Mhm.
always. And that's not because Jesus didn't know what to do, right? It's not that he wasn't fully God, fully human himself, but that's what Christ-likeness is to submit to the Father's will, and that's what it's a reminder of all the time. What was the first part? Marriage was what?
Makes you more selfless.
Marriage makes you more. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. My wife's name is Eleanor, and she's awesome, and she's on staff here at our church too. She runs all of First Impressions for Sundays.
Wow.
All of that. She's incredibly socially intelligent, just all of that. So selfless, it's every day you're at home and you're like, either I can do this to benefit her and to care for her and love her, or I could do what's nice for me right now. And that's the flow of a really awesome marriage, is two really selfless people. And so I mean, that reminds me of the church in Acts, honestly. Every time I read Acts, I'm just like, wow, they were so selfless. It says after the believers finished praying in Acts 4, they gathered all the things they have and gave it away, and nobody was in need. So the response from prayer was to then give and be selfless. So if you are praying for your marriage, I think it should result in you being selfless for your spouse. So that's what
Can I share an approach Josiah and I take when we see each other struggling or needing, whether it's time alone or we ask each other, like, how can I bless you?
Yes.
Like, even in the most stressful moments, like, Josiah, like, how can I bless you? And sometimes he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, put something on your calendar that's going to bless you, because I want to bless you. And I think that's a good question to take the part that you were talking about, like, oh, I could do what I want to do, or I could look at how can I benefit her. And I think it goes both ways. Like, how can I bless you?
Yeah.
He's saying, I see you need something, and I don't necessarily know what you want, but make your request known, and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Amazing.
So good.
Aaron, it's been so good. Maybe a last word of encouragement for young leaders listening.
Yep. Just pray for your church and your young adults. That's been the foundation of everything here. Is we came to this church in 2015. My dad was the lead pastor, and it had no young adults, no young people. It was majority 50 plus, and it was awesome, and they were amazing people. And my dad just hoped one day that we would have young adults, and it's because we're 2 miles away from ASU, and that's our community around our church. That's why we wanted them. But what happened for 6 years was deep prayer and submission to God and gathering the right people who care about the same things. And so just pray. And
Amen.
as soon as you see the opportunity to be a part of what God's doing, you take it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, bro, thanks for an amazing conversation. We're grateful for you.
Yeah. So pumped to be here. This was amazing. Good to meet you guys and get to know you a little bit over this time.
Yes, you too.